Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Training, Learning, and Development Conference show. I'm Rick Zanotti, and today we are going to be talking about training and gaming and other things with Patti Shank, one of my favorite people. She'll be on in a second, and first, quick intro. Now, if you've been around e-learning and you've been around this industry for a long time, you know Patti Shank. I asked her before we started the show, how would you like me to introduce you? Now, Patti and I are good friends. And she goes, any way you want. I said, okay, I love Patti Shank. There, that's it. She's wonderful. She's a great person, a very knowledgeable person, has done a ton of work for different companies. She's worked for the e-learning guild. She's done her own consultancy business. And just a wonderful person who keeps doing things. She's an author, wrote some books, quite a few books actually. And her latest book was How to Be the Best Boss of You, was out last year. And Patti, how are you today?
I am doing just great. Thank you so much, Rick, for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And you and I haven't caught up in a while, so this is going to be fun just to talk a little bit about what you've been doing. And you've got an interesting topic planned for the TLDC conference. And what are you going to be talking about?
Well, I've been doing a lot of writing in the last couple of years on the science of learning, and one of the things I thought would be fun to do is to design a game and to take typical training problems like when should you use background music and when should you add images and what type of images should you use, and take typical training problems like that, and rather than just make up answers and wing it like a lot of training folks might do, and just match them to science of learning, science of training, and information design and writing research answers, and create a game around that. And so I'm in the midst of creating that game so that whoever comes to my session, we will be matching up typical training problems. Another problem might be like, how do you decide what content to include or exclude? What style of writing is best for adult learning? Those questions all have answers, and those answers come from the science of learning, the science of training, information design. And we can match up those answers and those questions by putting a game together. That's what I'm going to do.
That sounds really good, and it's interesting because you talk about the science of learning and all of that, and part of that is really something that a lot of people kind of ignore. You've got, like you said, you've got background, so that's colors, that's texture, it's everything else. And I get so tired of seeing plain white backgrounds or things that don't have any texture in them, because it doesn't convey much. It doesn't also create any emotional mood or anything else. Are you going to talk a little bit about font usage? That's another big one. People just either make really teeny-weeny fonts or they're just too big. And fonts make a big difference too in how people learn and read and everything else.
And you know what's really interesting about this, Rick, is that a lot of the research is counterintuitive. I'm not going to tell you what the research is here on the show. You're actually going to have to show up to my session to find that out. But a lot of times people say, well, I do this because it makes sense. Well, a lot of the research is actually counterintuitive. And so a lot of times when I'm doing presentations, I was at the LEAP conference in Oregon last week, and as we were discussing some of the research, people say, well, that doesn't make sense. And then I actually explain the research and they go, oh, well, that does make sense. And then some people call me on it and say, show me the research because I don't believe it. And then I showed them the research. And so it's a process of showing them the research, explaining the research, and sometimes the research is not well written for practitioners.
Right.
Makes it hard. And so there are research explainers, and that's a term that's kind of weird all by itself. Research explainers. And there's people like Will Tallheimer and Ruth Clark and myself to take that research and make it easily explainable. And some people say to me, well, why isn't the research written in a way that's easy to understand? And there actually is a good explanation for that, and that's because people who write it don't write it for people like you and me.
Right. It's the old Scientific American problem where it was all jargon and nobody understood what they were writing. And then you would have the scientists who could actually speak English, could, translate it then into something useful. And
so we're the middlemen, and they write it for other scientists. And then there's people like us, the science explainers, who luckily have the wonderful job of being able to explain it to others. And I have to put in a plug here. ATD hired me to do that. And they hired me a couple of years ago and said, we would like you to take the cognitive science and the instructional design science and the information design science and the usability science and explain it in plain English and actually mix it together and say, how does this cognitive science and this information design science, how does it meet up? And that has been probably the highlight of my career, the best thing I've ever done. I'm as happy as I've ever been.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And, a happy Patty's a good Patty. So we're glad about that.
You've seen me at times when I've been less happy and I'm cranky. I'm not cranky right now. I'm very, very happy with my work. And the Science of Learning game that I get to bring to the TLDC conference, kind of the highlight of all of that.
Yeah. And we were talking a little bit pre-show that you have had migraines for a long time.
I do.
And you're like me. I get migraine aura and untreatable, at least not easily treatable. I've been to doctors and neurologists. They go, you're fine. I go, great. And in my case, it affects the optic nerve. And I've had 3 million possible reasons as to why nobody knows. And every so often it's one thing, another, and I think I got it solved. No. And I just, and we just live with it. You just do what you can. And, you look great. You look like you are back feeling better than you ever have. And I'm just glad to see you out and again, going to the shows and doing what you love doing, which is talking and presenting and sharing, because you always have good views on things. And that's one thing. You're very practical. And
the science of learning is, a lot of people think of it as pie in the sky. Absolutely not. For instance, one of the things I've been talking about is the difference in training experts versus training people who are newer to a topic, just totally applied. And yet most people train everybody the same, and yet the science of learning and the science of training tells us they could not be more different. And I was talking to a group of people at the LEAP conference, and we sat down and we talked about it, that the difference is night and day about what you need to do for people with more expertise and those with less expertise. Yeah. Very, very applicable, very, very applied. Now, if you read the science, it's hard to understand, but when you actually look at what it says about people with more expertise and those with less, you can make a list of things. With people with more expertise, you do these things. With less expertise, you're going to need to simplify, etc. And so, to me, I'm in just a wonderful place. Yes, I have migraines. Everybody's got their problems, for people with migraines, there's things you've got to do to be able to make it in the world. People with other problems have to make it in the world.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm in a very good place right now.
That's great. Well, the conference is October 3rd through 5th. What day are you talking?
I don't know.
Don't know yet. Okay, it's still early. But October 3rd through 5th in San Diego. It should be a great conference. It'll be a little bit smaller, probably over 500 people, so it's going to be a little more intimate, which is what I love about some of the smaller conferences. You actually get to meet and talk with people that you may not see that often, and there'll be vendors there and just some great speakers on the whole. So we're looking forward to seeing you there. In fact, do we have a little animation for the social media contact for the site?
I don't know.
I think we do. There we go.
Well, I want to see all my friends and fellow learning professionals there. I'm looking forward to doing more one-on-one discussions with people that you don't get to do at some of the bigger conferences.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really excited that this conference is starting, and I hope to see everyone that I love and connected to there. Please come.
That sounds great. And I've got a hug reserved from you. So, writing in my book, reserve hug, get a hug from Patti. We're good.
I love to hug. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you at the conference. Be there. San Diego is a gorgeous place to go, especially that time of year. It should be very pretty. And they're putting on a good show. It should be a lot of fun. That's the Training, Learning, and Development Conference, San Diego, October 3rd through 5th this year. Be there. Get to meet Patti. And we're going to be there doing shows live. So we'll probably interview you if you are there. We'll have a good time.
Right.
Anyway, Patti, thanks a lot for being here today. We look forward to seeing you at the show. Should be fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.